issues.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to find the news on Frazier.
I'm at the. I don't know if it's because. I don't know. I don't know. I just have to reset the router, but I will be barking at Spectrum, man. They are so bad, but they're like the only option we have here.
Is it that you have?
Yeah, there's no other options in this area, but I pay for a gig a month, so like this should never happen. And it usually doesn't happen, so I don't know. This is weird, but I've noticed the last couple of days I've been dropping frames a little bit more.
I tried to
So I don't,
news
I don't
on
know
Frazier.
what's the deal here. Let me spam the new link in chat. It will give a minute to hang out or get in here. That's
I
super
guess I should
unfortunate.
probably put it in there for my folks too.
Yeah, play a little music. Let them get in here. All right, chat. You got 2 likes out of me today. My bad, dog. Chat. I don't know. I wonder if it's. I don't know. I don't say it because my girl's gaming in the other room, but
Uh-oh.
a gig down that shouldn't even be a problem. But anyway, we'll open it up on the new one. Oh well. Play a little
It
too. Well,
happened.
everybody get in here. Anyway, so yeah, we'll look for Tim Frazier news.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
Fully expected. Frazier average. Yeah, I don't say anything about Frazier being available, but I also don't say anything about him not being available. So
They signed him yesterday.
yeah, and you know, the other day when the Blazers signed dude from San Antonio, they
Yeah,
started him right off the bat. And I
I
thought
know.
the Blazers, of course, in a different situation than the Cavs. Cavs are dogs in the hunt, whereas the Blazers just kind of
Right.
chilling. So, yeah. My bad, chat. I'll give you a second. My bad. It just dropped. I don't know. It just started dropping frames pretty hard, and then it disconnected. Sometimes it'd be like that, right? About once a month we have a drop. But I'll look at it. What up, Shot Swap? Best prize picks today, Gun. Really haven't had one that just screams at me just yet. I'm thinking when we get to Milwaukee, we might be able to get into some 3-point props. Maybe Miami responds to San Antonio by resting one of their guys on a back-to-back, but nothing I thought was egregiously mispriced. Maybe we get to a Laurie Markkinen. I think 23 fantasy points, based on what we were talking about earlier. I got him about 28. I think the Wizards are an attack a spot where they can benefit enough where marketing could probably hit that over. So I might get there on marketing, but so far I don't have anything screaming at me here. Last video had 39 likes. That would be, yeah, that's unfortunate. Your wifey games too. Yeah, actually, the Dynasty. While I wait for people to get in here, I met my girlfriend on Fortnite. Queued up a random squad, man. She was out of Minnesota. I was down here in Texas, yep, we just hit it off. And a year later, we lived together, and bam. So yeah, new to the channel. What up, Adam? Welcome to the channel. For now on, she's Queen Danielle. She's the queen. 2-man power play. Steven Adams over 9.5 rebounds. Caldwell Pope for 13.5. Weird one. Definitely a weird one. But some of those weird plays don't get enough steam on them, like enough action to where their prices never get too tough in terms of the prop. So I don't think it's like insane here. All right, I guess we're gonna keep it going, man. That sucks that we dropped like that, but what are you gonna do? Let's move on to the Heat game. Heat hosting the Spurs. Project 75 for the Spurs. Trey Jones, Devin Vassell, Dougie McBuckets, Kata Bates, Diop, Jock Landell up against Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy G Buckets, PJ Tucker, and Bam Adebayo. Let's go pull up the Vegas odds on this one now that we've had time for the dust to settle, and see how much damage has been done on this here spread.
A lot.
Man, My stuff is just like running weird today. I might have to. Oh, that's why it's zoomed in at 150%. How'd that even happen? Miami. I don't. Oh, there we go. 12.5 points. So 12.5 point spread here. I don't have a. I don't see a game total yet, but yeah, 12.5 point spread. So doors wide open for a blowout. And then the no matter what, blowout or not, San Antonio, we've kind of seen them in this scenario a few times over the course of the last month or two, where Trey Jones gets inserted to starting lineup, gets opportunity, and you just look at the names of the potential minutes. Trey Jones at bare bones min price on DK, $100 above min on Fanduel. Doug McDermott, I'm not running to play him. I still think he's a scoring dependent guy. Keita Bates, Diop, min price. Jock Landale per minute has been absolutely insane. Zach Collins is out, so if you remember, Drew Eubanks has moved on, Thaddeus Young has moved on. Jock Landale could be the greatest play on the slate, and it's guys like that where if you think about the studs and scrubs build, you go Jock Landale, you could easily go grab Jokic. Those are your two centers, and then the guys in the middle, the 5, 6, 7K guys, the Jacksons, the Adams, the Vucevic's, guys like that, they just get pushed to the wayside because of the opportunity that we're given here. So the matchup really couldn't get worse, right? The Miami Heat, not a team we go to pick on. The pace really, really low. Bam Adebayo's not a great matchup for Landale, but minutes equal money, and the prices are undeniable. So if you're getting potentially 4 or 5 guys at min price here on the Spurs to kind of spread out your lineup and really give you some salary savings, it's hard to argue against it. So I will be an investor in the Spurs value. Unfortunately, I guess it just comes to who do we stagger, who do we invest the most in. Lonnie Walker on DK at 4,100 was somebody that was probably going to play regardless of DeJounte Murray and everyone else being out. So it just becomes more likely that I get to aggressive amounts of him. And then, like I said, Landale seems like a hard argument to go against. And then Trey Jones has popped in his opportunities when given minutes. The Heat being on night 2 of a back-to-back, something to maybe keep an eye on is, do they opt to rest one of these guys with this opportunity before them of a game that they should win, and that they can afford to rest one of their big guys as they, maybe exercise some load management. Even if it ain't Jimmy, it could be a Lowry, somebody like that. Look out for that. I think it is possible. But Coach, I think that our hand kind of gets played for us here. You can't really look away from the Spurs as value. Obviously, I think obviously not all of them are going to pop, right? You might get the Aaron Wiggins treatment on one of these guys giving you 10, 15 fantasy points. But it's hard to deny that the opportunity at their price point and what they actually need, right? High 20s to 30 fantasy points. That dog will probably hunt at some of these price points. What are you doing with this game? Do you have any Heat exposure, or is it just Spurs?
No, I mean, sometimes you have to play the hand you're dealt. And, you can be contrarian to a point, but this is the kind of game that, if you know what you're doing in DFS, you pretty much just have to fade the Heat unless we get, like you said, somebody, that's a late scratch. But, I mean, it's just too hard. I mean, on the second night of a back-to-back, Spoelstra is not going to push them. The game should blow out at some point. I just don't see spending any money on the Heat guys. But like the person in chat said earlier, how many Spurs are too many for me? I'm going to make the decision of 2 Spurs, but I am going to have 2 of them. I think that the choices for me are obviously Deadman, Trey Jones at 3K, which will more than likely make my lineup. Jock Landale at 3K, again, Deadman, you got to consider. And then, of course, as you mentioned, Lonnie Walker at 4-1 and Devin Vassell for me at 5-1 also in play. So I'll probably have 2 of those 4 guys. I think it's logical to do so because even if it starts blowing out a little bit, these guys are going to get some extra run because there's just nobody else to go to on the Spurs side.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. Their depth chart gets pretty thin, pretty fast. Double checking the depth chart since we're talking about it. J. Rich is not expected to play, right? J. Rich.
No. I don't believe Primo and Richardson and Langford are going to play, if I'm not mistaken.
Says he is questionable. Langford questionable. That would be the monkey wrench here, if these guys started being active But yeah, Langford hasn't played yet. Primo, like you said, questionable as well. We
Yeah,
did
we
get
have to
one
get
appearance of Jay
confirmation.
Rich.
If they're all playing, then you got to run and hide because Pop will play 15 guys in 2 seconds. So,
I
but if they're out, I don't. I think your hands forced, like you said.
What
Trey
if?
Jones is a good play, man.
Yeah, no, I
Trey's
like Trey Jones a lot. I'm just wondering
he
if
stepped up. Yeah.
sometimes Popovich a little bit methodical here. What if Jay Rich was active? Jay Rich comes in pretty cheap as well, so might be somebody I get behind. Are you doing anything with the Heat here? The Heat all kind of priced to a competitive game if they're all active. 7+ K for Lowry, 8 to 9K on Bam Adebayo. We talked about the viability of going studs to scrubs at that position, and then Jimmy Butler around 9K with Tyler Hero in the mix. Obviously, individually, each one of these guys have a case at some ceiling potential. The Spurs defensively have left a lot to be desired, and then, of course, now the backups to all those guys, they should be able to thrive just fine. But you wonder about the viability of four quarters, and you wonder about one guy crushing their price point. Did you have any Heat interest here?
No, full pass, 100% pass. Just makes no sense to spend the money when they could just play half the game. Just no reason to overthink it for me.
Yeah, I would say the one name that I'd be a little bit intrigued with is Bam Adebayo. The center spot is all but spoken for when you go Landell and then somebody else. But we've been getting 40+ strong every day out of Bio, and I do think his price is not where it should be on DK 8,400. And without potentially without Dwayne Dedman, a little extra implied minutes to lean on Adebayo for high mid-30s, and the Spurs matchup should be pretty porous. They are one of the teams that struggle the most at points in the paint, and all year they've been a team that lead fantasy points to opposing bigs. So I would have some interest in Adebayo just because I don't think he's priced where he should be. Let's get caught up on chat. Chat, my bad again for the stream dropping. It happens. Maybe I should start using a different service, but I don't know. It doesn't happen enough for me to be too worried about it, but it is unfortunate. Ducks should be fading the Heat because of blowout risk. I would like to mix in some Butler and Bam. I don't want to play them for 3/4 of play. Yeah, that's kind of the concern I have, Doug. Like I said, I think I'm a little bit more set up to play some Adebayo. I'm not completely sold that Spoelstra wouldn't see this opportunity here to rest one of them. Maybe Lowry is more of a rest candidate than anything. And if that happened, it would certainly boost our expectations for Jimmy Butler and probably make us spin the wheel on Tyler Hero or Gabe Vince or somebody like that. But
I've got Yurt saving for 20 minutes. That's how much I think this game spins. So I think it blows out pretty good.
yeah. What up, Mr. Tarin? What up, Gun? Right now, would we like Trey Jones with Goodwin in your lineups? Yeah, I think that would be the chalk start to a lineup. Trey Jones, Brandon Goodwin, and then that'll probably open up the doors for Giannis and Jokic. Obviously, thinking outside the box in DFS, right? The most obvious path is not usually the right path to take first in a tournament. Maybe you think a little bit outside the box and maybe build backwards to the field, pay up at point guard. There is some high-end point guard options, Trae Young, John Morant, guys like that, Kyrie to an extent. So maybe there is some pushback to that overly simplistic method here. Or maybe you go 1-1 and kind of go that route. But if you're talking about small field, single entry, or cash games, I do believe that approach is going to be the most trendy approach for constructing some lineups. Right? Blas says Bam or Sabonis today. Sabonis probably has a little bit more minute equity and potentially some more upside. He went 12 rounds against Jokic the other night and dueling 60 bombs. So I do like a fresher legged Sabonis, although it is in Denver. Maybe Butler under points, maybe. Landell hasn't been out 4 games straight. Is that an issue for y'all? Hasn't been out 4 games straight. As long as he's active today, man, I gotta expect him to play. Zach Collins is out, right? And they don't have any other centers here.
Maybe K-Cox, the backup. I mean, it's bad. They don't have much.
I think he's been active. He just hasn't been in the game.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not racing to do it, but
I am.
you know, I mean, somebody's got to take those minutes. I mean, it's that simple.
Yeah. Doug says Malachi Flynn if Van Vliet is out. I think it comes down to who starts, Doug. You really don't know if Nick Nurse is going to that bench much. If Van Vliet is out, we've seen them move Gary Trent to the guard position, and they could also use Scotty Barnes to bring the ball up court, and then they could beef up that front court and just like move everyone up. We've seen Siakam start at small forward. They could use Chris Boucher, Thaddeus Young, Precious Achua, guys like that. So I would not touch Flynn unless he was in the starting lineup, essentially. Lost it earlier. What up, Jason? My bad, Jason. What are your favorite prize picks? I still don't have any favorite prize picks yet. I think early on in pencil, I'd write down marketing over fantasy points, but I'm still kind of shopping for the best lines. We don't have a lot of mispriced stuff yet, and we don't have a lot of opportunities for this guy without that guy in terms of starters just yet. So far, all the starters that we got out is like whole teams out. Did we get, I don't know, I guess we can look to see if the Spurs were listed. Spurs... we got Doug McDermott and Devin Vassell. Devin Vassell at 14.5 points. He'll probably take some shots. So maybe Devin Vassell's interesting. One of the things about the Heat that I've been tracking last couple of Heat slates is they do allow an elevated amount of points per game via the three ball. And a guy like Devin Vassell probably... Maybe him, maybe Lonnie Walker, maybe Trey Jones. Guys like that will lead the team in shot attempts, and Devin Vassell will chuck a lot of threes. About half of his shots, if not more, have been from behind the arc. So it comes down to, is he going to hit them? Washington's a little bit better of a three-point defense on the season. But like I said, we referenced that team metrics chart in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet. Miami, I think, was like second or third to like Milwaukee and Charlotte. Three-pointers allowed per game. Miami's fourth. Portland's jumped them. So a top five matchup for a three-point shooter. So maybe Devin Vassell, 14.5 points is something we could think about. And they just added Lonnie Walker in front of my face, so 16.5 points.
I like Trey Jones at 12.5 over points as well, personally.
Lonnie Walker is listed at 16.5 points, and they just that's something he's cleared 4 straight. And then, of course, minutes there. And then Trey Jones, like you said, this just got listed for my screen at least. He's at 12.5. So all these guys might be soft enough. Maybe I don't put them all in the same card here, but I might diversify some Trey Jones, some Lonnie, stuff like that. Yo, Nasty Q Dog 9, appreciate that sub. Welcome to the channel, man. So that's good. You guys are still finding the channel. I don't know. I'm not getting a strong vibe on the slate with moving pieces and injuries. That's NBA. Sometimes it'd be the slates you don't like that you do the best on. How we feeling about Will Barton? I'm fine with getting to some Will Barton here. Probably we'll talk about that game now or next. But there's definitely some opportunity to perhaps chase some points with how recent those two teams played, and there's not much different between the two teams and what they're throwing out. I'm loading up on Trent and Barton tonight. I don't mind that. Trent's strong just because so many minutes and potential shot volume. Nets at the Milwaukee Bucks. Next game on the docket. Projects 35 for the Nets. Kyrie Irving, Seth Curry, Bruce Brown, James Johnson, and Andre the Giant Drummond taking on Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Bobby Portis. 237.5 total. 9.5 point spread for the home team Milwaukee Bucks. Nets just really haven't been able to get enough rhythm and chemistry going. But today we get an opportunity to see them really tasked with the toughest challenge that they'll probably have for this unit. Is can Kyrie, Seth Curry put up a fight long enough, strong enough to stay competitive with the Milwaukee Bucks as the Bucks projected to be full strength outside of Brook Lopez. 9.5 point spread leaves the door open for this game to get lopsided, which we expect that a lot from these Bucks games. But the Kyrie question here is 10K enough to attack here? I'm getting 9.9K on both Fanduel and DraftKings. I'm actually getting a softer projection than I am on John Morant and Trae Young. So I think logistically, I want to trust the projections here and go that route. It does seem like from keeping my ears to the ground, looking at some chats, some discords earlier. People love to play Kyrie when they can, just because it's elementary to say, hey, without Harden, without KD, his usage is so much higher. Paul Pierce with the sub. Shout out to Paul Pierce with the sub here. I don't know. Kyrie Irving here. What do you do with the Nets, Coach? I think the Nets are it's very volatile here. Obviously against the Bucks, we want to target 3-point shooters. Kyrie, Seth Curry, Cam Thomas, Patty Mills, guys like that all stand out here. You might even see some Goran Dragic. I feel like there's not really a net that I need to go out of my way to grab. But do you have any aspirations to get any one particular net here? Do you have this game staying close? I would say if it did stay close, game script wise, it's one of these 3-point sharpshooters are hitting their threes. So I'm guessing Seth Curry would kind of lead the charge, and maybe Patty Mills. But what are your thoughts on Kyrie? Maybe I'm a low man on Kyrie and I'm sleeping on him.
I'm right with you. I have Kyrie below Ja and Trey for sure. There are several reasons. One, as Drew Holiday defense, I really respect. The Bucks have the ninth best defense or 13th best defense in the league, so they've moved up into the upper half. They're playing better as a group. Kyrie has not played in almost 2 weeks. People don't realize that because they had the time off and then they had some home games. So it's hard, just to flip the switch and be on fire after not seeing the court and game action in 2 weeks. So I'm just not going to go there. I mean, I get that Seth Curry, Milwaukee gives up a lot of threes. He could be the guy that, would be the one guy I'd think about, but 6'1" isn't exactly a giveaway price. Patty Mills hasn't been himself, in my opinion, in like 3 weeks. So this Nets team is terrible. I don't think the game stays super close. So I'm having trouble really committing to any of these Nets.
Yeah, I think there's enough averageness in the projection for Curry, Kyrie, Patty Mills at their price points that I just don't prioritize them. And I think in my early player pool, if I end up with no nets, or at least if I put nets in the player pool and let the projections do the work, I might end up with no nets even if I put them in the pool. I don't get there, but it's kind of a weird spot to be because on a slate that's given us so much value, it's like, yay, free Giannis night. And you kind of you prefer Giannis in a competitive game, but we've seen Giannis hit 70 and 3/4 as well. So let's flip it here. Is Giannis, it's easy to pair Giannis with one of these 3K guys and consider him an 8K smash play. I've got him for 60 fantasy points over on Fanduel, which is the same scoring metric as PrizePicks, and 60. That dog will hunt doggone every day if I can turn into Boomhauer. And he's second to only Jokic in my projection, so he has a real shot to be the highest fantasy scorer on the slate. I guess there's going to be a path to get Jokic and Giannis together today. But if you had to choose between the two, is it Jokic over Giannis, or is Giannis? Giannis has a tendency when he's at home and has national eyes on him to just kind of step on other teams' throats and be out there and sometimes stat pad a trip dub if it's there for the taking. Do you see yourself having a lot of Giannis? Do you have more Giannis than Jokic, or are you having just both of them because you can?
I had spent most of the day preparing for deciding which of the two guys I'm going to take, Giannis or the Joker, because without question, you have to have one of them. I have the two of them as by far the most highest scoring guys on the slate, DFS wise. So I think now that things have opened up, I'm going to play with trying to get both of them in there. But then that would shoot my whole strategy of either Trae Young or Ja Morant and trying to get that build. So, man, I'll tell you what, I'd have never been at such a stalemate with two guys. They're basically the same price. I basically have them projected the same. They're both against teams that stink, that they could blow out. I mean, there's just almost no differentiation. So for me, I think it's going to come down to what you stated earlier, which is the same strategy I use. When I'm at a stalemate between two guys, I'll take the one that has less ownership and use that leverage. And from what I see right now, it looks like Giannis is lesser owned than the Joker. So I may lean that way, but it's close.
So as an exercise, I put in 3 random Spurs value: Lonnie Walker, Trey Jones, Landell. Threw Giannis and Jokic in the mix as well. We're getting 53 per. So there's definitely going to be a lot of overlap between the two tonight. So
Yep.
it's not a 1-to-1. But like I said, the most obvious path pre-flop, especially the most obvious path to get two of the highest scoring studs on the slate, is not necessarily the sharpest knife in the drawer when the slate is settled. If Sabonis drops another 60, right, like he did the other night
Or if
against,
these games blow out,
yeah.
you know.
So all right. Any other Bucks here? Drew Holiday under 8K, Middleton under 8K, and then Bobby Portis. He just never gets away from the 6K price point, and he always projects pretty well, especially with power forward eligibility on Fanduel. Do you have the expectations to get some of these other guys? The Bucks rotation getting a little bit deeper, adding Serge Ibaka, and getting some of potentially these guys that have been missing some time back in the mix. They did trade away Dante DiVincenzo, so you lean on 30 minutes of Grayson Allen. He's just 4K on FanDuel. Maybe he bleeds into a solid game here. But did you have any interest in getting to some exposure to the rest of the Bucks outside of Giannis?
It's funny because on the podcast I did earlier, I did have interest in Middleton and or Portis if I was going to go with the Joker, just to have some good representation there. But because that medium build has sort of vanished, Middleton at 7.6 and Portis at 6.7, now that I'm going back to the not just stars and scrubs, but like ultra stars and scrubs, really the lowest and highest paid guys, I think they're going to probably get squeezed out. I don't think they're bad plays. I think Middleton and Portis certainly have a path to get there, but it's probably not going to fit into my main build with being able to go up to some of these, the big boys.
Blah, I don't know, says, Gun, do you like Kuzma again today? And I think we're kind of staying away from Kuzma. A little back-to-back, a lot of deep minutes in the matchup. Much, much tougher with 3 7-footers likely invading his lane. Nova says, I hit the like button on both streams, one for Gun, one for Coach, or 2 for Coach. If Danny crashes this thing again, I'm not hitting a third. Oh, man. You guys are going to get me in trouble. Relax. I've got Barton over 4.5 assists. You like that, Jermaine? I don't mind that. Keith says Holiday should have a solid game. Kyrie nor Seth are great defenders. I don't hate the thought of Drew Holiday's matchup. Just wonder if his price point thrives, 1, in the shadows of Giannis in the same game, and 2, in context of the rest of the slate, where value and stealing is a lot more important than median outputs today, just because of the perceived value, if nothing else. Chat, we got 1 game left on the docket. Before that, take a pause for the cause. Hey, let's talk about title sponsor here, PrizePicks.com. If you guys have not jumped on the PrizePicks hype train, what are you waiting for? It's so much fun to isolate some of your research, diversify your daily spend, and then, of course, if you guys have been playing on FanDuel or Yahoo for a couple years now, the fantasy score props that they offer is 1-to-1. They use the same scoring system that the official NBA uses, and then, of course, so if you guys already built models to do custom FanDuel projections or Yahoo projections, you can look at yours, you can look at theirs, and see if there's some inefficiencies on their end versus your end. It's a whole lot of fun. So if you guys sign up over there, a couple things. 1, they support this channel, keep us pumping out 6 days a week, free stuff, and then they will double your first deposit up to $100, and you guys can turn $20 into $40 instant site credit, or $100 into $200.
Super chatted $4.99.
Bing bong. Yo, you guys are actually nuts with the donos today. I appreciate that. I actually think I gotta look at the analytics, but this might actually be the most lucrative month for my channel when it comes to revenue, and that's actually crazy thinking about. There was a whole week off for the All-Star break. So shout out to you guys. Just absolutely nutty with it. Appreciate that $5 dono. Blah. I don't know. So let's What was I doing? Oh, hey, sign up for PrizePicks. Use my code. I'll put a link in the chat. If you guys use this link, it will automatically get you guys in there. And then, like I said, it'll double your first deposit. If you try it, you don't like it, whatever. But I think you will. Try the flexes, right? The 10x's is nice, but try the flexes and the power plays. I got a little system where I like to do 5 flex, and then I kind of round robin those 5 into 2-pick powers. And that's been working all right for me. The Dynasty's Gun, do you have a Discord? So there is a premium Discord behind the paywall at rundfs.com. But also, I'm hoping to launch a free Discord Monday. I had a team build it already, and then it's linked in with the YouTube membership and the Twitch membership, stuff like that. I'm just trying to put together a team of mods because I know I'm not gonna have a ton of time to keep tabs on it, but look for a free Discord, hopefully launching Monday and beyond. So if you guys have been looking to be part of this community a little bit more, all right, we'll have that launched hopefully on Monday. But we do have the premium Discord at rundfs.com as well, which the Dynasty, if you hit me up on Twitter, I'll spot you a week pass. You donated $50. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'll give you a week pass for that. Hoping to get some good look on PrizePicks tonight. Yeah, congrats, Gun. You have a very bright future. I appreciate that, Doug. That's love. All right, main event tonight. Oh, by the way, before we do that plug, I gotta give love to the coach. Coach is on YouTube. He's pumping out daily content as well. He's got his own site. He's got his own subscription model as well. So if you guys like to shop around, I know plenty of my members have memberships at like 5 different spots. Man, they don't let anything fall through the cracks. Coach, where can we find you on Twitter, on YouTube, and stuff like that?
Well, I've got the perfect plan for you to win big in DFS. Check us out each day on our podcast. We post right around lunchtime, and it's at DFS Coach Talk on Twitter. We're DFS Coach Talk on YouTube. If you want to connect to me directly on Twitter, I'm at Joe Sarvadi. That's JoeSarvadi. But if you catch our podcast, check it out, get your lineup set, and then listen to Gun on his live stream. Get that set, and then, like Gun said, I mean, I'm all for having multiple opinions and at looking at slates. So I think, if you go with some of the big boys, the Osmos, Roto Grinders, whatever, you're going to see a lot of repetitive picks and a lot of inflated values on people and everything because they do have, some big viewership. So if you give Gun and I a shot, I think we'll give you a little bit different perspective and hopefully a winning one that's not going to be as chalky as theirs tend to be. So appreciate you giving the shout out. We'll continue to do these Saturday ones if you guys like them, and hopefully both Gun and I can keep building and keep working together on it.
Kings at the Nuggets, main event tonight. Project starting 5 for the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Justin Holiday, Harrison Barnes, Mo. How could you be so heartless? Domantas Sabonis up against Monte Morris, Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green, and Nikola Jokic. 237s are total. 8-point spread in favor of the Denver Nuggets. It's a little bit of a run back of what we saw the other night. And what we saw the other night was no defense. There was a lot of scoring and a lot of big fantasy games. Domantas Sabonis attempted to go blow for blow with Jokic from a fantasy perspective. Doggone nearly did it. 15 shot attempts out of Jokic in that game. The Nuggets put up 128 points, won by 18, but still had a lot of fantasy viable guys here. Jokic just 1 assist from a triple-double. I had action on his over 8.5, so I was glad that he didn't hook me there. 5 stocks to boot for 60-plus fantasy points. I have him right now projected as the highest fantasy scorer on the slate. But like I said, Sabonis was trying to rival him, was essentially the better DFS play because of the stark contrast in salaries, 2, 3, 4K, really closer to 3K difference here. He put up 60 fantasy points of his own, played 37 minutes. That's back-to-back games of Sabonis playing 37 minutes. So good to see them lean on him aggressively. That front court rotation all year has been rather suspect, but knowing that they trade for him and seeing them use him gives us a little bit of confidence going forward. And it looks like Fox, Harrison Barnes, Sabonis will lead the 3 in my projections daily for minutes played. So Fox and Sabonis really kind of the 1-2 punch here, with Sabonis, of course, being the guy that has a little bit more oomph, a little bit more upside, another high 230 total to target here. I'm fine with gravitating towards these guys for some late night hammer high upside plays here. I also had a nice chunk of Harrison Barnes. I expect a modest 30 plus fantasy points from him, so I don't mind those three being in the player pool. Past them, if you got to some DiVincenzo or Davion Mitchell, something like that in big field tournaments, I don't think it's crazy. Jokic is usually the highlight of my Nuggets exposure, but the Kings are going to really, really, really not be good on defense, and we have seen them dramatically start dropping in the ranks here. Right now, I think they are second in defensive
29.
rating. 29th,
Yep.
so second
Wow.
in defensive efficiency, which is going to, and hopefully in the short term for tonight, give us more reason to look beyond just Jokic for fantasy points. Yeah, behind just Houston in terms of defensive rating. And if that is the case, it wouldn't just be Jokic. Maybe Will Barton can have another big game yet again at a price point that is perhaps inefficient for the matchup for a guy that's likely going to be second in minutes and usage. 17 shot attempts against Sacramento in the previous game, 31 real points, 44 fantasy points, so I don't mind going to him where I can. I think on both sides there's meat on the bone. On Fanduel, maybe a little bit more, and then if you landed on a little bit of Aaron Gordon, I don't think that's crazy, but Jokic obviously at the top of the podium for me. Where do you start and finish for this game, Coach? It wasn't necessarily that close of a game in Sacramento, and there's not many greater home court advantages than Denver because of the altitude change. Do you have this game staying close? Do you have this game, or do you have a lot of or do you expect to have a lot of exposure to this game? And your thoughts on Sabonis maybe getting lost in the sauce as a 9K guy, based on the studs and scrubs approach that the field might be getting? And do you think if Sabonis dropped 60 again and Jokic dropped 68, Sabonis is probably the better play just for that 3K salary savings? What are you doing with this game, Nuggets and Kings?
Well, I don't think it stays relatively close. I think Nuggets win this by double digits. So, that puts a little bit of a wrench in it. But really, as far as the Kings go, I'll say earlier in the day, again, when my build was a little different, I was really excited for De'Aaron Fox at 8-3. I know that's expensive, but he could have a monster here. But he's going to get lost. He's going to get pinched out here just on the type of build. So I'm not going to get him. And the same thing is going to have to happen to Sabonis. Just like you said. I mean, who's going to get lost in the shuffle here? And it's probably Fox, Sabonis. And to me, those are going to be two guys I own a lot of in this rest of the season, because to me they're a two-man team. I mean, those two guys look like they're going to work well together. They've got some rhythm already with just a handful of games together, and the rest of the team absolutely sucks. So let's just put it very simply. You can have Holiday, Barnes, Harkless, DiVincenzo, Mitchell, Holmes, Lamb, Lyles, Jackson, Jones, Metu. You can have all those guys. I don't want any of them. And so it's Fox and Sabonis generally I'm going to be looking at, but I think they're both going to get chopped off just because of the type of build, which is disappointing. I will say, I'm with you on the Joker. Like I said before, I just have Ian Giannis so far ahead of everybody else. I don't see how you don't get to him. Now, the fear is just like Giannis. What if this does blow out and he doesn't see the court much in the fourth quarter? That is the risk, that you have to take on if you're going to roster him. But after that, Barton at 6'4" he'll probably get to that number again. I just always he just quite doesn't make it in there for me. And I do like the fact that Aaron Gordon sub 6K now, which, he does have those games where he'll, get a double-double for you. So I do want some exposure here, but in all honesty, it's probably going to be Joker or bust for me in this late game.
Yeah, I got a pretty drastic fall from 1 to 3 in terms of fantasy points. Jokic being 10 points above guys like Trae Young, Sabonis. So the blowout factor for both Jokic and Giannis does exist, but raw points are raw points on a slate that's going to give you a lot of value. Those raw points will mean something at the end of the night, especially a shorter slate like this. So it is definitely a struggle of game theorists that might look to still be somewhat balanced while also honoring the value that it is prevalent today. I think there's some creativity to be explored. We talked about how it's I don't say easy, but it's not difficult to get Jokic and Giannis in lineups with utilizing the Spurs value, but perhaps even more intriguing are lineups where you just go one or the other, and then you can go grab a Trae Young or John Morant or
Right.
any of these Bulls bigs or Sabonis. But man, how fruitful could some of these lineups that fade both Jokic and Giannis be? You go grab potentially 60 points from Sabonis. We talk about how the Raptors could throw out 40 minutes of a couple of starters if the news goes the right way. Just wonder if at the end of the night, what the odds of a lineup without one of Giannis or Jokic being live to finish first would be. So definitely a slate that could be a little bit more creative now that we've digested every game. We get caught up on chat here, and then we will try and look at a couple Prize Picks plays. Shout out to Craig in the chat. If you guys are looking for more Prize Picks content, be sure to click on Craig's name. He does a lot of specific Prize Pick stuff, and he is a grinder, man. He is up at the crack of dawn while I'm about to go to sleep, serving you guys up, getting you guys started. So definitely plenty of channels in our little independent network here that you guys can keep in the rotation, keep in the spin cycle. And Craig keeps it short and sweet. So check him out. What else do I got in chat? What up, Spencer? Here was Fox off last game. No, he still had plenty of shot volume. I think the thing with Fox right now that we're seeing is going to be pretty scoring dependent going forward. It's not going to be a super high assist guy. Halliburton was eating to that, and now we know a guy like Sabonis, who has a lot of on-ball ability to kind of be a baby Jokic-esque. I just expect Fox's big games to look like maybe old Kyrie games when Kyrie was alongside like LeBron and them, where he just probably got to give you 25, 30 real points to be viable in tournaments with a couple peripherals. But no, I don't know that he was off. If Siakam is out, can you rank Boucher, Young, and Achua? Doug, it comes down to the starting lineup, man. Nick Nurse doesn't get too creative past his starters, right? He gives them all 35, 40 minutes. Somebody had asked about Malachi Flynn earlier. If Siakam were to be out, they could go Van
Birch
Vliet.
will probably start, by the way.
Yeah, Birch. Well, yes, but Birch is starting anyway because of no Anunoby, and they moved Siakam to the floor.
Right.
So they could use Achua. They could use Thad Young. It was a recent wild card, and then Chris Boucher has been there for a while now. So I would like the per minute production of a Boucher. Obviously, he's a little foul prone, but if Boucher was in that starting lineup, I'd have to dabble and gamble in that. But I wouldn't be able to rank him this far out without knowing who starts and who don't to kind of show his hand here. And then of course, if Van Vliet and Siakam were out, there's a couple of different lineups. They got Banton, they got Flynn that they can go with. They could just go Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent, kind of rotate with the ball handling duties, move guys up a little bit, and then you could see Banton, Thad Young, or Achua, Thad Young, Boucher. There's several different combos that become annoying this far out. Yeah. And then I don't think McCallie would get involved, but he is on the roster, and we have seen him start in the past. But I'm sure with his origins, he might have his mind somewhere else. Flynn was me too. Yeah. Craig, different Craig, but shout out to Craig Bergeron as well. By the way, chat, if you guys are out there, you're lurking, you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, hit that sub button. I know today's a little bit wonkier since it got split in two. But if you like the video, I appreciate that as well. Any engagement with the content here goes a long way towards stirring us up in the YouTube algorithm. In a weird way, having a disruption in stream, creating 2 videos that get instant engagement of 100 plus people, kind of good for the channel, but bad for I don't know, ad revenue. I don't know. But yeah, if you guys are out there and you're not subbed and you like the content, you like the vibes, hit that sub button. You can usually expect 6 days of content. Hopefully within a month you also get that baseball stuff. I'm built different when it comes to baseball, I promise. And then yeah, lots of content. And then Monday we'll be back with the Prize Picks show before the DFS show. And then we're grinding that second half and get into that baseball season. So let's tackle questions. Let's tackle of any type of leans that you guys might have. Torrance says, don't judge me. I'm brand new to PrizePicks. They have Fred VanVleet and Pascal on there. If you play them and they get rolled out, will they still honor it? They just refund you. So they void that pick. So if you had it in like a 4-pick power, it would become a 3-pick power, and then it goes based on that payout structure.
Right.
Yeah.
You have it in a 2-bagger, they cancel the whole thing.
Right. Which I've been losing money on CS:GO and League of Legends. One of the in esports, right? These online tournaments that they have. There's constant DDoSing where it's attack on a player's internet or what have you. Maybe I got DDoSed. If a player gets DDoSed and he ends up not finishing the game, they DNP him and they void the whole thing. And there was an instance the other night where a game went to like overtime. A player hit his overs, but he got DDoSed and didn't finish, so they voided all the tickets with him. I mean, there was a lot of controversy surrounding that. Anyway, let's go look at some of these props here for PrizePicks before we get out of here. Trae Young's listed at 43.5 fantasy points. Clint Capella 30. I'm trying to find the biggest links. Do you have a one favorite PrizePicks play today? I know you've been shopping the PrizePicks streets lately as well. I'm thinking I like the real point props on a lot of these Spurs. But as far as fantasy, like the slate itself wasn't really flipped on its head enough for the high usage guys that are featured on PrizePicks a little bit more often. So I don't have like a lot of unbelievably egregious lines here, but I think I'm going to be targeting some of these real point props for the Spurs. I think Devin Vassell, Lonnie Walker, maybe Trey Jones at 12.5, like you said. Maybe those 3 are guys that I jump on here, and I probably don't overlap them. Maybe I go 2 of 3. But do you have any favorite PrizePicks lines?
Yeah, and I generally like to play the larger amounts on 2-baggers. That's just the way I go, and I go for the power, for the good size hit there. I just feel more comfortable playing with those two-teamers. So for me, I like the over total points on Trey Jones and 12.5. And then I know this is going to sound crazy because I really have been touting this guy and I'm so much in his corner. But I believe it or not, I like the under on, let's see if his, it doesn't look like he's on here anymore. Did they move him off of here? I like the under on DeMar DeRozan, PRA, but I'm not seeing him here now.
I got 40.5 PRA on DeRozan right now.
40.5? Yeah. I like the under of that. And I know it's people are going to think I'm crazy because of the streak he's been on, but that's a big number. I mean, he could still score 28, 30 real points and not make that number. So that's going to be my 2-bagger.
They had Trey Jones at 7.5 assists. Holy. Not impossible, obviously.
They're expecting big minutes.
Yeah, that is some faith. And if you trust the lines maker at PrizePicks, putting that number on Trey Jones assist wise, that should make you feel really good about Trey Jones on other sites. So, all right, I can get behind that. And I like the call on the Spurs. Real points there for Trey Jones, but also like Devin Vassell, 3-point shooter, and Lonnie Walker, a guy that can chuck some shots from.
I see DeMar now. Do you think I'm crazy with that 40.5 under?
It's hard because I almost expect him to score 35 points a game right now.
Well, he's done
So
it
it would need 5
nine games.
peripherals.
The train has to have some stops, right?
A 237 total. Like I said, it's harder to push against, but DeRozan is just on a different planet right now. But I think it's crazy considering the matchup. But maybe if I felt like inclination on the under there, I might look at his real points and just hope for like 28, 29. But that 237 total leaves a whole lot to target here. Looking at the fantasy points too as well. Earlier I did like Lauri Markkanen, so I don't mind going his way again if we're at 23 fantasy points. I don't mind looking at Lauri Markkanen here for some scoring here against the Wizards. So a couple that stand out. I'm hoping that the Raptors news comes out sooner or later.
Super chatted $2. What
Adam
up, Gundecker?
Palmer.
How do you feel about Monty Moore?
Yo, what up, Adam? Appreciate that dono. Again, nuts today with the donos. How do you feel about Monte Morris? I don't feel anything about Monte Morris, Adam. I typically don't play Monte Morris unless Will Barton is out. I've noticed a slight increase in points per minute production for Morris, and in that split, he did do just fine against Sacramento. Sacramento, we talked about second worst defensive efficiency in basketball. But it's at 5.2K on a slate like this, you're going to need every bit of 30-plus fantasy points. It's viable, but even 30 at 5.2 doesn't mean the most. And on a slate that's given us a lot of guard value, it becomes harder to rely on Monte Moore, especially with the emergence of like Bryn Forbes behind him as well. So and maybe on a late slate stock and stuffer type of play, if I play him, I'm hoping for 30, and 30 might be a little bit more towards the high end of his average production. But because of the matchup being what it is, I don't think it's crazy, but I just don't know that in tournaments a 30 from 5K is going to mean a whole lot. We might get a 30 from 3K with some of these Spurs, right? Concede DeRozan under 10.5 assists and rebounds. I don't mind that. What about Kobe White over points, says Jermaine? Kobe was just kind of not a guy on my radar that I want to attack overs or unders on. There's no reason to expect much different opportunity for Kobe White today with Levine in the mix. He'd just be the guard off the bench behind Dosunmu. Do they have a Kobe White line, or are you just talking about from like a sports book? I don't see Kobe White listed on PrizePicks here, so I guess you mean just from a sports book perspective. I don't know.
Sunmu's going to get all the minutes he can eat because he's going to have to guard Jaw, so that should put a real cap on Kobe.
Doug says, I'm assuming you aren't playing Kuzma on DK, but I'm finding him difficult to avoid on Fanduel. You're playing him on Fanduel. So that's what happened to me yesterday, Doug. Fanduel has Kuzma at 7K, and just the numbers will like Kuzma's usage and minutes and opportunity. Right now, I'm getting 40-plus fantasy points. Yeah, 7.4K. That's going to look good. I couldn't get to none at 7.4 on FanDuel. $1,400 discounts with the DK price point. Obviously, 42 at if you give me 40 on FanDuel and DK at the prices today, I'm 100% taking the FanDuel, and I don't really care about near 9K 40. So yes, I think I get the Kuzma on DK, but I also, if I put Giannis in that forward spot, I take like a Lauri Markkanen, somebody like that. I could see a way around it and hope for the floor game, but I don't think I have 0%. I'll probably be sitting around 25% as a starting point and then kind of go from there. But yes, definitely one of the more stark contrasts is in prices for a high usage guy. Sportsbook, sorry, Jermaine. So what is his line, Jermaine? I don't have a poll. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? You say this guy's number, give me a line attached to it. But either way, I don't really have. I can tell you what I have on Kobe White in terms of projection on real points. I'll go check out the player props tab in the rundfs.com NBA VIP spreadsheet. Got Kobe White for 13.5 real points. So I would imagine that the book has him somewhere close to that, and that's just like a random play that I don't really see myself putting some action on. So like Jones and Walker over points for power as favorites. Lowry over fantasy added 3. Yeah, Tarn, I like those 3. I think those are all really, really solid. And then looking at, I'll look at the prop detector, see if Josh has some early leans. I don't think he does. No, that's from last night. I'd be on on call for the Raptors news. Even if we lose just one of Van Vliet or Siakam, if Van Vliet was out, Siakam has shown us that his assist rate would go up and a lot of his permanent production, and then vice versa. If Siakam is out, he represents a lot of minutes, a lot of peripherals that need to be compensated for. So that would kind of move the line for me for some price fix action. But like I said, none of the big usage guys are out to make these lines inefficient. I think price fix right now is priced pretty appropriate through and through on the entire slate, and everything else is just kind of hunches and game scripting. Can you speak to price picks and open it up to Australia? I wish I could. My boy Chronic's heading to Australia next month, Jermaine. Speaking of which, if you're on Twitter, maybe find Chronic. He's looking for ways to get some action down there. I told him that Australia has, I believe, government DFS or DFS that's maybe moderated by the government. I know they used to have something called Moneyball or Sportsball, something like that, and used to get a lot of mates in chat to chopping it up. A lot of rabid NBA fans in Australia.
Hit me up too. We've got a handful of Australian members at Coach Talk, and they actually brought DraftKings there, and then the country voted against it somehow, and now it's back to that Powerball, whatever the heck you call it, in Australia. But they can, if you're heading there, they can certainly hook you up because they're all playing stuff and they're still involved in DFS, so there's something going on. Yeah.
Imagine the government ran our DFS. That would.
Oh gosh.
I don't know what I would do. Guys, if you're on Twitter, twitter.com/Gundagger. If you're on Coach, it's Coach Talk, right? And then your last name, man. I don't know how to spell it on Twitter, but if you want to spell it out one more time, you guys can find the coach.
DFS Coach Talk is the whole gang is there, and I'm at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi. So thanks.
All right, Doug says, who's your favorite shooting guard plays on FanDuel tonight? So we'll use that as the cap off here. I'm going to go to my projections. I'm going to sweep my projections here in a minute for you guys that are in VIP at rundfs.com. But let's clear it all. Let's go shooting guards into the mix and see who's projecting the best. Devin Vassell at 5,700. I get some action on. I think my Spurs line projections are a little too aggressive. I have to adjust. I like Bogdanovich more on DK than FanDuel, but he's put together a really nice stretch of games. Shooting guard is a little tough looking at it.
It is. Maybe Seth Curry?
Yeah. His shooting guard looks really tough today on
It's
on
thin.
FanDuel.
Yeah, it's thin.
Grayson Allen, 4K special, 30 minutes. All right, we'll dive into it. Chat, I'm going to be in the rundfs.com voice chat in the Discord. I'll be back at it Monday. My bad on the split stream stuff. Hopefully that doesn't happen again for another month or so. But I'll see you guys later. Coach, I appreciate your time. I will see you guys in the next one. I hope you crush it tonight. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money.